So PriceSmart is one of the companies that is listed there on the NASDAQ. Jamaicans here would be quite familiar with PriceSmart locations here. The company recorded 1.2 billion US dollars in revenues just in the fourth quarter. So PriceSmart globally is a pretty big company, and now they've announced a new location in Guatemala. So when I saw this news, I was like, another PriceSmart in Jamaica, okay, but it's actually in Guatemala. So tell us more.
So PriceSmart is operating in particular, PriceSmart is in Latin America and the Caribbean. So for those who remember, Costco, USA only, PriceSmart, Latin America and the Caribbean. I guess you can say it's an unofficial agreement, but yeah, Latin American Caribbean. So PriceSmart, membership warehouse, you go ahead and get goods in bulk, you pay your membership fee, which is what makes most of their core profit, and you get savings, by buying in bulk with PriceSmart. So the company would have opened its 50th location in April 2022 in Portmore, Jamaica. They, opened a new location in Cartago, Costa Rica earlier this year. That was their 55th location. And they're now planning to open a location in Quetzaltenango in Guatemala in spring of 2025.
In where, David?
Quetzal Quetzaltenango.
I was teasing you.
But yeah, so there we're going with the 56 locations. And the thing is, you know, we've seen, persons, you know, or receiving reports in Jamaica, related to the municipal corporations that, Paris March next destination really is supposed to be in Montego Bay. They had proposed something in 2020, but, COVID came, and then we're hearing that Primark is planning to propose to go to Iron Shore. But the truth of the matter is, Jamaica is PriceSmart's best performing market in the Caribbean segment. No, I can't bring the numbers for the Caribbean segment right now. I can try to bring it up in the meantime, but basically, Jamaica the best reported growth for the most recent financial year of 12.2% increase in growth. Kalila, remember that the Jamaican economy was quote unquote slowing down this year. For PriceSmart to say, hey, Jamaica was the best market, growing 12.2% on net merchandise sales, it tells you that we did something pretty damn right. I was spending our money in PriceSmart. And the thing is, because we're spending so much money in PriceSmart, they're like, wait, these Jamaicans actually love us that much. And the former location is performing a lot better than expected.
Well, I think it also makes some level of sense because people may be theorizing that, well, PriceSmart is presumed to be a discount place. You buy in bulk, and so you get your savings by buying in bulk. And so if the economy is doing poorly, people will be looking for more deals, and then places like PriceSmart would benefit. I presume that that would be the logic here.
Well, you have to also remember that before PriceSmart opened their location in Portmore, the Raiders location was getting so much traffic already. So you get traffic today, but your person's returning from Montego Bay, Clarendon, wherever to Kingston. With that Portmore location now, you have a convergence of traffic going into that specific location, such that Paramount is actually expanding their Portmore location as we speak. Remember, they opened this location in April 2022, and less than 2 years later, they're ready to expand the location to accommodate the growing traffic that is going to that location. That should speak volumes, about the value that Paramount is in Jamaica. And they're also, looking at ophthalmology. Was it ophthalmology, or I believe it was I believe it was respect to the ears audiology center at one of the locations. So they set out a value here. And the thing is, in the Caribbean in particular, the segment reported $1.35 billion in revenue for the 2024 financial year, and also reported operate net income of $77.98 million. Now, if Jamaica's standout economy, when you have Domrep, when you have Trinidad and other markets, it does see that we, are spending pretty well, and it's continuing the growth. The price market itself, might have seen a 11% growth in revenue up to $4.91 billion 2024 financial year, and also see a 28% increase in net profit to $130 million US. However, the stock, did fall about 8% the day after earnings came out. Why? So in the Q4 segment, in the Q4 report in particular, Paramount would have been affected by negative events in the prior period, such as a tax settlement basically, and analysts and the market were expecting Paramount to deliver higher returns. However, so it went from like $90 to $83 in one day. However, following the Trump presidency, an announcement, Paramount, like every other boat, has gone back up to 90. So as you would say, bad report, based on analyst expectations, stock goes down. Trump comes in, we didn't remember that. Back to normal. So it's pretty interesting. And one of the things I like about PriceSmart as a company, apart from being a common consumer staple business that you can buy on the Nasdaq, is that it actually gives you an insight into the rest of the region and developments happening in those markets. What do you mean by that? So in Trinidad, we've been hearing more and more about this FX issue, such as Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago. I did not say Jamaica, I said Trinidad and Tobago. They are restricting their customers from doing FX transactions overseas come December 1 with their debit cards and cutting the FX limits on their credit cards from $5,000 US to $2,000 US. PriceSmart Trinidad and Tobago, at the end of August 2023, had about $18 million US. As you would say, TT equivalent in currency, they couldn't really convert to US dollars. That rose to $60.3 million US at the end of August 2024. So almost more than a 3x, increase in just cash that cannot leave the country. And this is coming from a periodic high of about $100 million US equivalent in TT in August 2020. So because I get that instant from PriceSmart, I know, hey, the situation that is very grave. Paramount actually even closed their recycling plant in Trinidad last year and took a loss on it. And they're even remodeling their Portersville location, but the fact that they're stuck, with that much money not able to leave the country, it tells you how bad things really are. And they
Wow, they're
even pointed out earlier that,
reevaluating. Because I was just going to ask you, how does a large company like PriceSmart deal with that problem? They are
so
considering closing that location.
so actually, for most people, seem to realize in Trinidad, Paramount has 4 locations, not the 2 like Jamaica. But to give further context, Paramount, has had to devise what I'd call cunning strategies to get money, or I should say US dollars, to pay their bills. So they actually have had to actually export, let's just say water, for example, to other markets, probably other preference markets, just to get USD to pay their bills. They have actually sought Canadian dollars, euros, other tradable currencies, and then convert to US dollars to pay their bills. So they're doing everything, putting everything into the toolbox or to their hat, just to ensure they get US dollars to pay their bills. Because at one point during COVID, between 2020 and 2022, Paramount was actually restricting imports in Trinidad and Tobago because of how bad FX issue was at one point. So with this continually tightening the Trinidad and Tobago market, I would not be surprised if in the coming months you're going to see Paramount say, hey, we're going to start restricting some more imports in Trinidad and Tobago. It's because it does not make sense for us to bring these goods in and we cannot pay our bills with our own company operations money in Trinidad and Tobago.
Beetle had a question earlier. So I remember we reported on this a couple of years ago about people trading on the Trinidad and Tobago cross trading the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Beetle wanted to know, is Trinidad still purchasing foreign currency in the Jamaican market? Not Trinidad. I think what he means is Trinidadians or people in Trinidad using that situation, taking advantage of that situation. Have we seen
that? Is correct. So let me give 3 quick context points, right? Because at the time. So basically, for one, the BOJ stopped accepting TTD over the counter last October. So that route of just carrying TTD to Jamaica, giving to BOJ to get Germany to then convert US dollars, that route is gone. However, what you have tend to found instead is that persons are using the TTSE. For those who don't know, you have companies like Grace Kennedy, JMB Group, NC Financial Group, are listed on the TTSE, Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, and the JSE, Jamaica Stock Exchange. They will, buy those shares on the TTSE, transfer it through an intercity transfer to Jamaica, sell it on the JSC to get JMD, which should then convert to USD to pay their bills. Then you also have persons, who will find other means, such as, doing payment in kind. So let's just say I need to pay, somebody a particular bill. I will instead, go to, let's just say, one of their own clients for that same supplier, do a service for them, and use that payment to that liability with the other clients. So Trinidad are still finding their ways to Jamaica to get USD, because in Trinidad, Chakalila, it is very disgusting what I'm hearing. Imagine you go to the bank, you have US dollars in your account. Let's say you have $1,000 US. You can only get $200 per day in Kalila. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, you have to bring evidence to get your own money.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you have to bring a plane ticket to say, hey, I am flying out to the country. I need some USD. I'm like, all right, it's $200 here. And you have to go back the next day, probably a week, to get your entire $1,000 US. And the thing is, that's also subject to allocation limits, meaning that unless you are, let's just say, someone who the bank would not want to lose, basically hire a client, you're probably going to stuck at the back of the line, waiting just to get your USD allocations.
I know
So,
exactly how it works because I listen. It's a very similar situation in Belize. We have a fixed exchange rate at 2 to 1. If you want to get USD from the bank, you have to. Well, not necessarily. It's not exactly the same because if you have a USD account, that's different. But if you're trying to buy USD from the bank, you have to join a lot. You have to get there early. First of all, there are allocations for the day. If they run out, you just have to come back tomorrow. There's a certain amount you can get unless you know somebody who knows somebody at the bank. It's a lot. Even trying to send money, like if you go Western Union, you have to line up early as soon as they open because there's certain currency restrictions, and now Trinidad is experiencing the same and probably worse. So
and think
we
about the Kalila.
actually wanted to have this as a main discussion tonight because the situation there is getting pretty dire. We're gonna follow up next week. We couldn't make it happen tonight, but hopefully next week this becomes our main discussion because a lot is going on.
And one more thing, Kalila, I was going to mention it. Parliament has pointed out that, in Honduras, their central bank are started to actually limit US dollar outflows in that market as well. So Parliament is about 20 million $20 million US equivalent of Honduran lempiras that can't leave the country right now. So because I follow PriceSmart, I get a better insight into the rest of the region's developments without having to be an economist myself. And that's the beauty about, companies listed on the NASDAQ, NYSE, or any global exchange. They reports on Jamaica. They give you an insight into, the entire market space. So, players saying, hey, we're looking to rebound heavily in Jamaica come next year. We're getting ready for the winter tourist season. New Fortress Energy, which supplies LNG to Jamaica, is like, hey, if it was for Jamaica, we would not be here today. They, were praising Nigel Clark, and the central bank, for managing depreciation, fiscal management, unemployment going down. You have Campari, which says, hey, Jamaica needs to continue going further because they're fourth largest, business, or market, ahead of Italy and other markets. And I can go on and on different companies that actually list on the NASDAQ or NYSE that in Jamaica and tell you, hey, Jamaica is that place to be. And it's just good to kind of see these stories because it tells that Jamaica is in the right direction and we can profit from it, by investing in the JSC, NASDAQ, or wherever.
So, despite the challenges with PriceSmart in their Trinidad and Tobago operations, do you see PriceSmart as a potential buy because of its growth in Guatemala and the Jamaican market, etc.? Bearing in mind, of course, this is not investment advice.
To be honest, it's to be a hold. And it's really coming down to that major risk associated with Trinidad and Tobago and Honduras. Because while Barbados, for example, has a pegged rate, and they would have to manage the amount of FX coming in out of that market. That is not a material market in the whole grand scheme of things. But with respect to the Trinidad and Honduras, if you're talking about $100 million US equivalent that cannot leave the country, and your total cash balance is about $200 million, 204 to $50 million US, that's a problem. And until that situation can alleviate itself between Trinidad and Honduras, especially Trinidad, I would not, feel comfortable, taking a larger position in PriceSmart until these risks are alleviated, because you open a new store in Guatemala, and open more stores in El Salvador and whatever, but that Trinidad risk is pretty real and it cannot be ignored, because if the friction does tip it in Trinidad and Tobago, then you're gonna have a massive, reduction in reported revenue and profits as well. So that's just my 2 cents.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that input, David.